Hello and welcome to Cooks and Cars, the RaceDayNation edition. I'm Rob D'Amico alongside Michele Rahal. Please follow us online at RaceDayNation.com, or you can go to cooksandcars.com. Both websites have all the podcasts up there, all the latest news, rumors in the world of racing. Plus on Cooks and Cars, you get a little bit extra. You get some recipes and things like that because we like to talk about the Big Green Egg, our sponsor here on the program. It's brought to you by the Big Green Egg. So log on to their website and check them out. They got 7 convenient sizes for you and your family. It doesn't matter. We have a size that fits your needs, and you can shop online and have it home delivered for free. That's right. So check them out at biggreenegg.com. All right, Michele, where can they find you online real quick?
They can find me on Facebook at Michele, M-I-C-H-E-L-E, Rahal, R-A-H-A-L, and there are not a lot of Michele Rahals on Facebook.
Especially that are men.
Yeah, you're a big green egg yourself. Shut up. And you can find me on Instagram at Michele Rahal, M-I-C-H-E-L-E, R-A-H-A-L, and the number 9. Where it came from, God knows, but I'm stuck with it. But that's where I am.
We'll figure that out one day.
One day I'm going to get to the bottom of it because it just drives me nuts.
And today
I hate odd numbers.
Look at this one.
Yeah, you're
like that number.
Well, that fits.
But hey, I got to tell you, man, Miami GP today, Formula One. We are on the grid today for some great racing. I can't wait. I'm excited. The place looks amazing. It's a 3.4 mile, 19 turn, 11 pedestrian bridges, 1 gondola ride, 8 or 9 yachts out there, 2 pools, and a beach. The place, I got to give props to Stephen Ross, one of the owners of the Dolphins there, and the whole ownership group, because they've really put on a great show. It looks awesome on TV. Now, there are some things that we'll learn behind the scenes that, as a first event, but a massive event. And I think it's going to come off great today on television, which you can watch at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. So make sure you check that out. I know there's a couple, the NASCAR fans have a race going on at the same time, but I'm telling you, you are going to want to turn in and watch this F1 race today in Miami. It's going to be a special event. What are your thoughts there?
Well, my thoughts are probably twofold. One, you've got the drivers complaining, which is what they're supposed to do. Drivers complain, right?
I mean, Juan said that in his interview, last show. Yeah.
And he was right. It's the absolute truth. They always complain about, is it a dirty track? Is it a technical track? What's going on? Well, this is the first race of hopefully many races in Miami. And I think, according to Juan, Pablo Montoya, they did it right. And all the drivers are saying they love the track layout, but they're complaining about dust, dirt, that type of thing. What's the clean line? Is there only one line? How are we going to get around this track? They're race car drivers, man. They race in the rain. You race in the rain in an F1 car, you better know what you're doing. And, you can complain all you want, but you've been given a track to drive that is a relatively safe track. It's difficult. It's had some difficulties with, the surface, but with the supply chain issues and things like that we've going on globally. How would they have imported what they need? What F1 would want them to use. So they used the local deal, and that was part of the dealing. Use local stuff, use local people. And hey, we'll go along with it. I'm sure that's in those contracts somewhere.
There's no doubt about that. I'm excited because, like I said, they really made the streets of Miami look really nice. And when I say that, it's literally the parking lot of Hard Rock. I mean, look, this is what it looked like before. It's just a sea of cars parked outside. And what they have done is amazing and made all this around that same spot, which is incredible what they've done. I mean, it really does look good. Now, I'm going to bring on a special guest here today because we're going to be talking about the F1 GP, and we have a driver who's visited down there. Jordan Taylor joins us on the line. Jordan, welcome to Cooks and Cars RaceDayNation edition. Appreciate you coming on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
First of all, happy Mother's Day to your mom out there. Yeah. We appreciate all the moms.
Yes, of course. Yeah, she actually lives next door, so I'll be popping over shortly.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate for her.
You better have delivered flowers or something, man. Like just from an old guy to a young guy,
Yeah.
just do it. I mean, it's otherwise you end up as getting thrown to the back.
Yeah.
All right. So, Jordan, you were out there at the event, the Miami GP, got to go down there as a guest and a race fan. What were your thoughts out there? One, as a driver, and then the second, as a race fan.
Yeah, I mean, it was my first ever Formula One race, so I was taking a lot in, kind of understanding how all the different passes work to get into different areas. It's definitely very restricted in certain areas. You see paddock areas so kind of prestigious, and you only see drivers and media people back there. But it was nice to get back here to see all the drivers are pretty much just running around, so they're not getting stopped by photographers or autographs. But the layout itself, as you're talking about, is spectacular. It was hard to believe. I had never seen it before there was a racetrack there. So for me, walking in there, it just felt like it was a purpose-built racetrack and facility. Everything seemed permanent. It didn't seem like everything was going to be taken away on Monday and then kind of put in storage for next year. So on that point of view, it was very impressive to think that they just popped it up in a couple months and it's going to be gone in probably under a couple of weeks. I'd say as a fan, it was difficult to see a lot of the racetrack from like viewing points. The best places to kind of watch were, if you were just a walking around fan, was to kind of walk around the stadium itself and get views from up high. I think most of the tickets that were sold for, grandstands or, suites, they've got views of certain corners. But I think another one item that I would have liked to see a little bit more of, which would have just been more screens and things that actually kind of follow the event of what was going on track and not just kind of seeing what was happening right in front of you. But I'm sure those things will be ironed out. I'm sure they'll get plenty of complaints from people of things, but I think for the first year, they've done an unbelievable job with it.
Agreed.
Yeah, totally
Let me ask
agree.
you a quick question. In road racing, because I grew up in it too. Since 1953, the Rahals have been in it.
Holy moly, you're old. Sorry.
Well, no, I wasn't born yet. Okay, let me clarify that. But walking around is part of the experience. Is there room for the fans to move around and to be able to go from corner to corner and see things? Some corners, it's a street race, so some corners are not going to, you won't be able to see anything. But how did you view that?
I think some areas are going to be very difficult to get to. I think you can walk around a lot of the track and cross, like you said, there's 11 bridges to kind of cross. So you can get around. It just takes a long time. The track is pretty spread out, so you're going to be doing a lot of walking. It was also like 90 degrees, so most people were trying to stay in some shade or find a breeze somewhere, so kind of getting up high. The stadium itself was kind of cool because that was kind of open. All the vendors on the stadium were open, like on level 3. So you could just walk around up there, hear the cars, take a peek over the ledge and kind of see part of the track. But kind of going corner by corner, I think they have a lot of it sectioned off for the actual hospitalities. So people have to have a special pass to kind of get in those areas. So I think if you're just a random fan hoping to walk from corner to corner like a Laguna Seca or Road America, you won't have that kind of access there.
They should do something. Frankly, they're racing a lot here in America, and if they can do something about that, I think it would go a long way. I mean, obviously it's explosive, but I think it's also benefiting all racing in America. I agree with Jeff Gordon's statement that even NASCAR will benefit from it. I think that's an important thing. Bill France Senior himself said open wheel NASCAR needs open wheel because one benefits the other. I mean, that's pretty prophetic, and he was a pretty smart guy from just being old school, and I agree with him. I think you need them both, but it's when you hit a street race like this, the excitement is there. I'm sure you could see it. I mean, what was your I actually have a question for you that I've been asked a lot, and I want to be able to ask it from an active, front running driver. Can you explain to our fans exactly what is a technical track?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best example was probably Sebastian Vettel's qualifying through that like oh, I automatically said Titan technical, but I guess like a technical section is where, like, if you look at this track behind me, like Sebring, like if you mess up this corner, you're going to be messing up this corner. So like you have to plan like so far ahead that you can't just focus on the corner right in front of you. Like if you went as fast as possible through this corner to make up 2/10, you'd probably be losing like half a second in the next one because you're trying to set up for the next one. So when you look at this track, that super tight section on the backside, Vettel said like, oh, I messed up the chicane and he lost 2/10. But if you watch the video, he got like a tiny bit wide in the first one, which kind of compromised his exit through the second one, which then led onto a straight. So if you just watched it and you only watched that 2-corner sequence, you'd think he did it fine. But if you then see like the exit of that second one led onto a long straightaway, then you'd understand that maybe he compromised the second corner where he should have been compromising the first. So when I hear technical, I hear like a lot of, in my mind, it's a lot of compromise in your driving and what you need to do to kind of benefit the overall lap time rather than just one corner itself.
That's how I was taught. I mean, it's like writing a bad check. You know, it catches up with you. So you're basically setting up your entry to a series of turns so that you come out onto the straight fastest.
Yeah.
Or you're able to set up a pass. So, I mean, that's how I was taught.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a simple and succinct explanation, and I appreciate it.
Well, I learned something in this segment. I learned that if you mess up one corner, you're going to, screw up the next couple and lose some time. And Rahal writes bad checks. That's what I've learned here on the show. All right. We're talking to Jordan Taylor, our guest today, obviously driver of that number 3 Corvette, man. How's your season going in the IMSA and, with the GTDs and the new setup they kind of have with the classes and all that? How's that working out this year for you guys?
Yeah, it's been up and down. I'd say like Daytona and Laguna were a bit of a struggle. Sebring we won, which was great. And then Long Beach we had the pole and finished third. So we've had 2 good ones, 2 not so good ones. But yeah, we still have, I think, 6 races left in the season. We're second in the points. So far so good. We still have kind of a lot to learn, I think, with this new class structure and kind of morphing our car into a GT3 spec, kind of putting ABS on it, adding the weight. And then the different tire has been the biggest thing to kind of learn. So it's been kind of an interesting process to understand like how the engineers are kind of going about kind of redesigning the car around these new pieces that we have to kind of work with. But the big benefit, I think, is just having, more cars in the class to race with. It's fun to get back to battling where the last couple of years in GTLM, we only had, 3 to 6 cars at any given race. So the competition is nice to have.
What about the balance of power? I mean, it seems like they almost invariably go after, the Corvette team, for BOP. I mean, which kind of drives me insane. Every race, something different. Let's restrict this car. Let's do this. Let's do that. So it's more even. How's that been for you so far?
Yeah, it's been frustrating.
Without putting anybody under the bus.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely frustrating. I think you ask any team that's getting, penalized, they're going to say it's frustrating. Like Daytona, we didn't really have much of a chance to compete. Sebring, we won, but we didn't have the fastest car, and then we got hurt for Long Beach. And that's just frustrating because we knew at Sebring we just executed a very good race. If you looked at like the total pit stop time, we spent the least time in the pits. Our last stop was like 10 seconds shorter than the Lamborghini that finished second, and they ended up finishing 6 seconds behind us. So if you just do the math, they would have ended up, with us or ahead of us.
Yeah.
So we felt like that race wasn't a race that we won on, pure speed and balance of performance. It was more of a execution from our point of view. So those ones are frustrating to kind of understand where you get penalized from, but at the same time, they're doing their best to kind of make it as even as possible. And it's our job to kind of just do the best job we can with the tools we have. So Laguna was definitely frustrating. We qualified like 13th behind 6 amateurs, which wasn't great. So hopefully heading to Watkins Glen in a couple of weeks, we'll be in better shape.
Those 6 amateurs were going, who we beat this weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's really, I mean, they call them amateurs, but these guys, number one, if you can call a lot of the drivers or the co-drivers, gentlemen drivers. If it weren't for them, we wouldn't have them. So we wouldn't have sports car racing. So hats off to them. Great. But some of these that are classified as amateurs really are pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that the structure is, I know my cousin Sean Rahal, he's like locked into that gold status or gold that he can't get dropped back, to where he can get more seat time. So that's one of the reasons he's running sprint cars right now.
Yeah, the licensing has definitely created a lot of controversy just in that aspect. If you get pushed up to a license, then you lose a bunch of opportunities. And if they kind of make a mistake and put someone as a silver when they should be a gold, then they're called a super silver, and they're too fast for that kind of class, and they're racing an actual gentleman driver, then it's not fair for that actual gentleman to be racing some kid who's a superstar in the making. So it's definitely a difficult spot.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be John Doonan or Bo
exactly.
right now. I mean, that's tough for them.
Yeah.
We're talking to Jordan Taylor. I'm Rob D'Amico, Michele Rahal. This is Cooks and Cars Race Day Nation edition. You can check us out online at RaceDayNation.com, also cookandcars.com. And I know you're a big egghead. You got a big green egg cooking on that. You and your brother always, I think it's Tuesday wings. Is that what we're doing still, or we still got that little tradition going on?
It's not every Tuesday anymore, but we did do one 2 weeks ago. We tried some new crazy hot sauce.
Oh,
we each tried one wing, and we were out for like 15 minutes.
No more.
It was rough.
Line at the bathroom.
Exactly.
Right, man. You just don't do the hot stuff anymore.
Yeah, Ricky even
can't
brought
do
a gallon of milk just in case. And, we use a lot of it. So
a loaf of bread, milk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, we love the eggs though.
The whole thing with the egg, which is hilarious to me, because I've known everybody at Big Green Egg for years, and it's like a cult. It's like going to a street corner. Hey man, are you holding?
Yeah. Well,
you got a pizza pen? You got a pizza slab? I mean, it's insane. Rob and Montoya swap recipes, and there's no doubt in my mind you're doing the same thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it's funny that you mentioned the cult thing, because I think it was Ricky when he was at the Petit Le Mans a couple times, people would bring them sauces because they talk about it all the time. And, you got to try this one.
Yeah. It's awesome. I mean, it is a cult. I mean, I remember Montoya was posting some of his meats that he was cooking, and then I videoed Ricky cooking. We got a little rotisserie for picanha meat, and it would rotate, and we just slice it off and eat it as you go. And then Montoya bought one of the rotisserie things, and he was doing it. So
everybody's going churrasco.
Exactly.
That's right.
Argentinian churrasco.
Yeah, it was really good.
Hey, I want to talk about something. There was a tweet out, and you kind of responded to it about being the second favorite son in the family.
Yeah.
Talk about that situation and what happened.
I mean, it was just, from my point of view, it was just racing on track. And then with this new class, we have ABS, which I don't love having ABS. I just think it's a tool that shouldn't really be in professional racing. So we have that, and that creates such a weird situation on starts and restarts and trying to pass. It just makes everyone so aggressive because they know that they can't really make a mistake. So we went on the restart, and I was right behind the Lexus, and then I hit the brakes, and the system does everything for you. So I was braking, and then it sensed that the right front needed to lock. So it actually locked the right front, and I just slid right into the BMW, and it felt like a pretty big hit. So I was going to apologize when I got out, and they were still leading when I got out in their class. So I was like, oh, at least I didn't break anything. And then I checked Twitter, and their Twitter was just going crazy about me, not very nice. So I decided I'm not going to go apologize now. I would have gone and apologized, but now they've just taken it a little bit too far. But I guess that's just their sense of humor. So when I just made a video to react to it, to kind of say hey, I don't really care what you say. I'll just make something funny out of it, basically.
Yeah, if you want to follow
driver aids. I mean, that one was one that I never thought would creep back in, creep into auto racing, but it did.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%, man. If you can't do it with your foot,
Yeah.
You can't, meter yourself and know when to hit the brakes, know when to modulate that pedal, know when to set somebody up. And if you're locking up, be able to back out and get it to catch again. It's just, it just doesn't have a place there for me, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm a dinosaur. That's that.
No, I agree. I like old school stuff way more than what we have these days. And that's what, like, when I say like with the gentleman drivers and the amateurs, that's what makes the racing so frustrating, because now you take a guy that isn't fully up to date on all of his skill sets, and he can just, if you want to try pass him, he'll just brake as late as he possibly can and just basically stand on the pedal to hold you behind him. But if he didn't have ABS, there's 0% chance he'd be trying to hold you off as hard as he is, because he knows if he pushes a little bit too hard, he'll be off the track. So
it's a lot like LMP3. LMP3 with the steel brakes, I believe, and none of the driver aids and that LMP2 has. From what Sean has told me, it's much harder to drive the LMP3 car than the LMP2.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you've driven LMP2, but I think you've also done DPI, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where bring the racing back to it, man. Just bring the actual, I'm with you.
Pure racing, yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt me to shift manually either.
Yeah.
Make
it harder for the driver. Like, they're making it easier and easier, and like that's why some of the competition gets closer, but that's also what's making it so hard to pass, and no one's making mistakes anymore to create opportunities. So yeah, it's definitely frustrating.
Well, we're talking to Jordan Taylor. He was at the Miami GP, obviously the driver of the number 3 Corvette in IMSA. We appreciate him coming on with us today. And, before we head out, did you see anything special in the garage that you thought, hey, man, this is really cool? Like, you actually went through the garage. You got, I think, some pictures of yourself in the Alpine, as they like to call it, but the Alpine garage there. You got Fonzie and Chachi on the shirt.
Yeah.
Fonzie and Chachi.
Yeah, I mean, it was impressive to see in person all the stuff that they have, like 1 million radio headsets. It was impressive, like how they set up for like VIPs and guests. They definitely deal a lot with those situations, because that whole section we were sitting in had like three TV screens. We had our own radios there, like ready to go. And then during qualifying, they'd cycle like 5 to 10 people through each qualifying round. So it's impressive to see just the logistics of a Formula One team, and then shuttling guests back and forth to the hotel and to the track. And just, there's so many moving parts before you can kind of get to the racetrack and to the actual driving aspect. We didn't get to see as much of the like technical side that I would have liked to, but it was still really interesting. And even during qualifying, we were on Alonso's side, and then it was getting too busy with guests, so they moved us to Ocon's side, and he had crashed in practice, and they were rebuilding a new tub. So it was interesting to see kind of the process behind the scenes of rebuilding the car.
It's no longer a Chinese fire drill. I mean, that was the joke in the past. The Ferrari, when the Ferraris came into pit, it's a Chinese fire drill. Everybody's running everywhere, going crazy. Now it's more methodical. I am interested in that process as well. I would love to have seen them put that tub back together and exactly how they do that, and to be able to mate, engine, gearbox, and the technical side. That would be interesting. So I'd love to see your pictures. I'm going to follow you on Instagram. So post the damn things.
Yeah.
Right?
So as soon as we got moved to Ocon's side, some lady came running over. And my buddy who I was with just had his GoPro hanging. She's like, you need to turn that off and put it on the ground. Like, you can't even take your cell phone out. So they were like very afraid of some pictures leaking.
The industrial spied them. That happened to us at Sebring. The IndyCars were testing. I had a guy filming who was a veteran film guy. I mean, this guy did, Iraq, Afghanistan. So he wasn't, he wasn't a big guy. He's got this giant camera. He's filming the Penske car, and all of a sudden they come over to him and they say, "You can't do that." And he said, "Kiss my ass." He said, "I'm going to do anything I want." And I mean, he just kept rolling. So he ended up having to put a big sheet up over the car
wow.
to keep my cameraman from going at it. But he was totally unafraid. This cameraman was intimidating, as little as the guy was. Like maybe a little bigger than me. I'm 5'6", so everybody's bigger than me.
Yeah, that happened at Daytona with me.
Except Sonoda.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little guy.
5 feet tall. I mean, come on. I mean, he better be a professional race car driver. Otherwise, he ain't getting no dates.
All right. I saw this on Instagram, and I got to clarify this because I didn't go back and look. I just was going through. Did you make an announcement between you and your girlfriend, or what's going on there?
No,
what happened? Fast, man.
We came up with a cool caption that said my number one plus one. Like she was my favorite plus one for like weddings.
And everyone thought
we were getting married and having a baby.
I swear I was going through and it said plus one, and I'm like, wait a minute. I tried to go back, but I already refreshed, so it was like, wait a minute, I totally lost here.
Yeah, I was getting calls from all sorts of people like congratulating me, and I was like, well, I don't know what's going on.
You might have just set a big wheel in motion, man, because that's one of those things you can't take back.
Yeah, for sure.
Public perception is everything, and
it was funny.
You might be under pressure,
Yeah,
you might have to take one of those, long weekends.
Hey, being the second favorite kid, did your dad ever teach you the birds and bees? I just, you know how this works.
I'm still waiting to hear.
All right, man. Hey, enjoy the weekend. I hope you're watching the F1 race today. It should be a good one. And where are you guys up next for IMSA?
IMSA's racing Mid-Ohio next weekend. Our class doesn't race there though, so they do Mid-Ohio and Detroit. And then my next race will be Le Mans, and then my next IMSA race will be Watkins Glen.
Okay.
I love Mid-Ohio. It's a great track.
Yeah.
It was when Truman was there, when he was running it. And that's when I drove, Nissan at that particular track. And that and Road Atlanta, those were before they put the chicane in.
Yeah, just
that's how old I am.
Yeah.
Hey, you keep bringing it up. How old you are?
I know.
Hey, before we go, I got another family member, your distant cousin, Rodney. I saw you ran into him at the racetrack. Talk about that experience.
Yeah, I don't think many people knew what was going on with that one, and they definitely checked his passes a little bit closer because they didn't. He doesn't look like a Formula One fan, I don't think so. It was fun though. I was surprised how many people knew actually who Rodney was in that kind of world. It's funny how small the racing world can kind of be sometimes.
And then obviously he ran into his all-time favorite. He is a Jeff Gordon super fan, and here he is. Here he is with his old buddy there.
Yeah, we actually saw Jeff twice yesterday. It was a lot of fun, and it was fun to talk to him about the track and what he thought, and kind of thinking what he like NASCAR's future with possible street course racing or more road courses. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Hey, listen, we're all for the street course with NASCAR. We think that's something that should be done and added to it. If they're going to add dirt, then let's add a street course. They already do more road racing, which is great in my opinion, because they definitely need it. Road racing, I think, is some of IMSA to me. IMSA, Formula One. These are high-end cars and sports cars, and it fits. Listen, we're older, we get it, and we love that. I'm not sure with the new fans how that works out, but with the different types of cars in a car I can actually go and buy, that's pretty cool to me.
Yeah, I think so. And the racing on the road courses is always so good. So
yeah, it is.
It's got always spectacular finishes and battles. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Well, say hi to Rodney for us.
I will.
Congratulations on the baby.
Yeah. And now no pressure there. Next, just real quick before you go, any predictions for today? Oh. Given that you got a lockout on the front row, but you got Verstappen who got almost no laps in before qualifying and still sticks it in third, and he's right behind Leclerc.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think I don't know if the W Series races were on TV, but there were a bunch of yellows and like safety cars, so I think that could be a big factor. It could mix things up, but
Agreed.
yeah, I think the Ferraris look strong. It's cool to see some other guys kind of mixing it up at the front as well to kind of mix up the kind of midfield. But yeah, I'm hoping Verstappen can kind of get involved a little bit to kind of make it interesting.
Cool.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Go knock on the door next door, say Happy Mother's Day, and enjoy your day, man.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Nice to meet you, brother. It really was.
All right, take care.
See ya.
Jordan Taylor. A great guy, man. I love having him on.
Yeah,
he's awesome. He's one of those guys that he's a big egghead. Him and his brother have a lot of fun doing that. And
who the hell isn't a big egghead, green egghead? You know,
that's right.
It's I was cooking on those long before we had any relationship with them, and there's just nothing better. There really isn't. I mean, to a gourmet cook, to somebody that really, really wants to get it right, especially you guys out there, man, this thing can go to what, 1,000 degrees to 200. I mean, it's insane what you can actually do with it.
I don't suggest getting it that hot, but yes, it can.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty hot. But
yeah,
I mean, you literally can do the Ruth Chris style steak. You can do the all these different types.
Much better. Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing with it is you will never go out to eat again. There's no doubt about that. You can cook the best food you've ever imagined on a big green egg. And all right, so there's a couple things I want to bring up before we go. You mentioned it with the Ferraris with the lockout, but Verstappen was definitely on it. Had a little trouble on the track, and that's I think what some of these guys are complaining, but still third, his teammate fourth, and then Bottas fifth. I mean, these are some good cars up here.
Bottas did a good job for having stuffed it into the wall.
Yeah. Then you had Lewis Hamilton and a Mercedes. So you got all these different manufacturers up there. Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri, Lando Norris in the McLaren, Yuki right there, and then Lance Stroll rounding out your top, which I was a little surprised because the Aston Martins are having trouble. But I really thought that Russell was going to be up in this mix, and unfortunately, he did not. He struggled. He was fast in practice 3. But, man, when it came to qualifying, he was not very good and had trouble.
You know what? That happens. I mean, it does. Tracks change. A setup changes. If you look at the two Mercedes, both of them made what they called an experimental change. I don't think going into qualifying you should make experimental changes. And I think Toto Wolff, came out and admitted that. But, yeah, you got to be careful because these cars are infinitely adjustable, whether it's Formula One, IndyCar, even the small formulas or the GT cars, they're all infinitely adjustable. And, that's something that we can talk about or blog about in the future, I think, for the fans, is we want to do everything we can to deliver to people the love that we have for the sport in general. Even if it's sprint cars, I'm still interested, and we want to be able to give the fans a good, solid understanding of what they're viewing, what's happening. I have an 82-year-old neighbor, and she is now into Formula One and has never, ever watched any race in her life. And now she's into F1.
She's a little out of the demographic, but
she is. But it's happening. I thought that's so bizarre. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe Elon Musk.
That is our lineup for the F1 race today. I do expect it to be a good race. I did watch the women's series. They did have that. They did televise. Yeah. So
I still think I object to that, but nonetheless.
You think they should, if they're good enough, they should race with the men and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think it might be a good trainer, but I mean, the whole thing is it actually takes women and puts them in another category where they actually shouldn't be. Swimming or whatever, men versus women, the physicality is dramatically different. And when you get into a race car, I mean, I'll give you an example. I played baseball in high school. I'm 5'6", 130 pounds, right? I'm not going to make it as a shortstop, so I gave up the position. But when you get into a racing car, it's like putting a suit on and everything gets really equal. So I can beat the 6-foot Mr. Athlete next to me, and did. So, that the same thing applies to women. I see it as a good trainer series, but as soon as they can get the hell out of it and into F3, F4, even if it's here in America, whatever, do it. Get out. One of the ladies has 2 championships and she's stuck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd love to be able to do anything, and we should do that. We should get a couple of the drivers, the female drivers from that W Series on the air and see what they think. I think that would be a societal conversation that I think has meaning in today's current climate.
We'll do a roundtable version of the show. We'll have Lynn St. James on, and we'll have a couple of the drivers from the W Series
Yeah, we
come
both
on.
know Lynn. Yeah.
Yeah, and have that, and we'll do a little roundtable.
She's a groundbreaker.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah, all right. So anything else before we head out? I know that in other F1 news, they had the F1 owner Liberty Media to purchase Vegas land for $240 million. It's basically 39 acres that the pits and the paddock is going to sit on, and they decided that they're going to buy that land. So I'm sure there's going to be a permanent structure built there.
Sure.
And maybe do something else with that structure where it's a gambling and maybe casino or something, hotel,
they have
the whole
chance,
9 yards.
don't they? I mean, if you stop and think that one through, I mean, how many high rollers are coming into town on an F1 weekend? Good Lord. Every casino in Vegas will be vying for just take my money, Every one of them are going after it. And if F1 actually could get one on their grounds, because, I think they're pretty agnostic when it comes to things like that. NASCAR, a lot less, they were more no gambling on our, site. It has to be off site, that type of thing. I'm not sure F1 feels the same way. F1, ching, ching,
Yeah, I think NASCAR's come a long way with that.
They
do
have.
allow it now, and now they actually talk odds on the race day shows and all that stuff, and they do giveaways and some things like that with the $25,000, and you have to get a few of these questions right, and who's going to get the finishing order correct. And there are some things that they're doing, and they have opened that up a little bit because, listen, it's a big market, and people do. I'm not a gambler. I'm not.
Oh, you and me both.
Yeah.
I was the guy that would walk in at not the blackjack, what do you throw when you throw the dice? Craps. I'm the guy who's new. So all the guys, the sharks that know this, is something about the new people that show up. They're lucky. So I'm there and I'm throwing these dice, and all of a sudden all these people are surrounding. I'm winning money, and no sooner than I'm up like $2,000, I go down to zero. And it's like, you bastard.
You're like, what? No, I did the same thing.
I was a hero, and then I was a zero.
He got escorted out of the casino. Wait, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That seriously happened to me as well. We went there. I got on the craps table. I was rolling hot. All the guys were like, oh, yeah. They were throwing money. They were tipping me. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And then I lost, and I had no friends.
Zero. You're gone. I mean, it's just hilarious. I don't know there's a name for that, and I don't know what it is, but the new guy that shows up.
Sucker.
Yeah, the new person that shows up at the table, that's some kind of a good luck, or, it's going to happen. So let's get money on them. I have no idea. Didn't have a clue as to what I was doing. Didn't care. I had a blast anyway.
It was fun. Listen, I go in there knowing, okay, I have a few $100 here. If I lose it, I lose it, and that's all I'm doing.
I lost nothing because it was a convention, and I met a couple of these girls that were wing walkers. I'm talking, these chicks got out on the wings of these airplanes and did all these stunts without cables. And I'm like, That's my kind of girl. So let's just put it this way. I don't care about the money. I ended up winning in the end.
Let's check the balance you have.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm ready for today's race. I got some Cuban cigars ready to go for today. Look, I got a Monte Cristo, a Habana Cuba, and I got
Is it a Monte Cristo number 2?
It is a Petit Tupos.
Okay.
Here, I'll pull it out here for you. That's it right there.
Yeah, let me put this thing out.
Yeah. And then I do have a Romeo and Julieta. This one,
beautiful.
These are my smokes for today.
I have 3 Fuentes, nice ones.
Yeah, I love smoking a good cigar every now and then.
I love the Hemingway short stories, but you can't get them. I mean, they're small cigars.
Yeah,
that's why they call it short story, but you just can't get them there. It's like everybody buys them out by the box full. I mean, I'm in Tampa, Florida, cigar capital of the United States.
Right.
And if you can't get, here's where Fuente is headquartered.
I mean, Ybor City is called Cigar City.
It is. I mean, it is. All those buildings are all ex-cigar factories.
Yeah.
You can get these old ladies that worked in those factories, later on, you can get them to custom roll. And it's like so much cheaper than going, and buying the name. But these ladies can roll these cigars, and it's out the best tobacco. It's the same stuff. It's really good.
Here's the thing with the Cuban cigars that are actually true Cubans from Cuba is that the tobacco is different, the soil is different. They tried to take that and bring it to Nicaragua and the Dominican.
But I got to tell you, man, it's
close.
It's close because those are the same seeds, and they're doing pretty good with it. I mean, but well,
listen, you can find a good cigar in those regions, but you can tell a difference of a smooth smoke that you get in the taste and the flavor that you have from Cuba, which is really good.
Monte Cristo number 2s. That's my favorite smoke, Cuban.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it for today, man. I'm excited.
Cool. I think
if you want to check out some of our other videos, we did recap the Xfinity series and the truck series, and we get you on the grid for the NASCAR race as well. So some good stuff on there. Just go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. I appreciate everybody. Listen, our numbers keep growing every week, which is good. I love that. But you got to subscribe to the channel. So please jump on there, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and because that's the best way to get all this information. We're just trying to do it in one place, make it very convenient, because a lot of these places you have, these numbers over here, you got this area. I know it's sometimes everybody's got something a little different, but this is the easiest on us. Listen, we have day jobs, and we do this as a hobby, and it's fun for us. So we try to make it pretty simple and easy, but get the information out there. You'll get everything you need when you talk or listen to us on the shows. So.
Yeah, but and folks, think this through. If we're doing this as a hobby and we have guests at the level of Juan Pablo Montoya, Jordan Taylor, we'll continue to do so. It's not as much a hobby. We just know people.
Yeah. Yeah, name droppers. I'm not ashamed.
I'm not either.
It's the quality.
We're in media, damn it. We're supposed to manipulate people. Come on.
All right. For Michele Rahal, where can they find you online, Michele?
They can find me at Facebook, and that is Michele Rahal, Michele, and the last name Rahal. Not a lot of us on there. You'll see me. And on Instagram, it's at Michele Rahal 9, Michele Rahal, and the number 9, which we will forever have in question as to how the hell number 9 ended up on the back of my name.
All right. And for me, you can find me at Rob D'Amico. It's ROBDAMICO on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that great stuff. So you can find me there. And for Michele Rahal, I'm Rob D'Amico. Please enjoy today's Miami GP as we will, and sit back and enjoy. If you got a cigar, a little rum, Havana rum or something like that. It's good stuff, by the way. You got to get some. All right. We will catch you next time on Cooks and Cars Race Day Nation edition. Thanks for watching.